Krishna, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai.
One small request. Just why don't you
Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. You've all learned the mantra. It's a good one too. Those of you that were not with us yesterday, this is part 2 of chapter 11 of Canto 10 Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we discussed yesterday, chapter 11 comes after chapter 10. And chapter 10 is a discussion about Krishna's uprooting the twin Arjuna trees, Yamala Arjuna trees, liberating Nalakuvar and Manigriva, who had become overindulgent due to wealth and pride and various reasons. Gopal, you need something. Okay, is there a switch? Oh. We need that one, though. He lives here. He knows how all the switches. Okay, so let's focus, everybody. Part 2 from chapter 10, where the Yamala Arjuna trees were uprooted. They offered their prayers. Krishna granted them passage back to their heavenly realm. As sons of Kuvera, they were gone for a vacation, and now they're back again. And then chapter 11 begins. We didn't discuss, but for your information, chapter 11, he's still tied to the grinding mortar that was stuck in between the two trees. And how chapter 11 begins, which we didn't cover yesterday. But Nanda Maharaj comes on the scene. He sees the trees. He heard the big noise. He didn't see the two sons of Kuvera going back to the heavenly realm, but he held Krishna and consoled him because he's still a little boy. And then the little boy pastime. So then the rest of what we heard yesterday, the childhood pastimes. And the childhood pastimes, if you remember, those of you that were with us yesterday, Upananda, who's the elder brother of Nanda, held a little meeting amongst the elders, and there was a discussion. Too many demons. This demon, that demon, listed them, what they did, tried to kill Krishna and Balaram, or Krishna, and too much trouble here. Let's move. Let's move in between. If you remember, here's what he said. All these incidents are being caused by some unknown demon. Before he comes here to create another disturbance, it is our duty to go somewhere else with the boys until there are no more disturbances. Well, no more disturbances. That's not life. There's always disturbances. But that was his decision, and everyone followed his decision. And then we heard a little bit about they started packing up. Yesterday we heard. All the Prabhupada would speak about this multiple times. In 24 hours, they packed up and crossed the river and went to the other side of the river with all their stuff on bullock carts, and then set up shop on the western side of the river Yamuna. So mention was made yesterday of Mahavan. So for you, it's over. Mahavan is on the eastern side of the river, and Nandagram is further inland, away from the river, up on a mountain top. So the ancestral home of Nanda and Upananda and the families, the brothers, and then in between is Vrindavan. So that's where they're headed, Vrindavan. That was his decision. And then later from Vrindavan, they shifted back to Nandagram. So this is the verse that's describing the place they went. Vana, Vrindavanam nama pasavyam nava kananam gopa gopi gavam savyam punyadri trin virudham. Between Nandeshwara and Mahavan, Nandeshwara is the ancestral home, is a place called Vrindavan. This place is very suitable because it is lush with grass, plants, and creepers for the cows and other animals. No, the animals are like family. When the moves are made, it's the family members are considered, not just what they want. It has nice gardens and tall mountains, and it's full of facilities for the happiness of all the gopas, gopis, and our animals. So that's Upananda deciding. Jiva Goswami is making this comment. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur makes this comment. Upananda is saying we cannot go to Nandeshwara, our old capital, because we fled from there and came to Mahavan out of fear of Arishtasura. So he's coming attractions. Krishna is killing Arishtasura. And after killing Arishtasura, then there's other things too. Arishtasura is still there. Therefore, a place between Mahavan and Nandeshwara is most suitable for living. Considering in this way, Upananda spoke this verse. Vrindavan is beneficial for the cows, pasavyam, and filled with gardens, fresh gardens. And this is a further comment. This is Jiva Goswami. According to Padma Purana, Kartik Mahatmya, this forest, Vrindavan, belongs to Vrinda, who attained an intimate relationship with the Lord. Notice she's got a parrot on her hand. That's her conveyor of messages when she wants to do something or get a secret. She sends the parrot to get the secret, and the parrot comes back and tells her the secret. Spy network. This indicates that it was free of all disturbances and endowed with all good qualities the forest is described. Because it has hot water and grass, causing good health, it is beneficial for the cows. It is a new forest, whereas Mahavan is old and worn out, since all its new shoots have been torn up and crushed by the cows. It's a new pasturing ground for the cows. Very practical. Therefore, let us immediately go. Today. There's no need to wait any further. If you agree to my proposal, let us prepare all the bullock carts and put the cows in front of us, and let us go there. So, quick decision is made. They're preparing the bullock carts. There's Upananda in a special cart, or Nanda Maharaj in a special cart. Upon hearing this, the cowherd men unanimously agreed. Very nice. Very nice. Thus they sorted out their household affairs, placed their clothing and other paraphernalia on the carts, and immediately started for Vrindavan. Now they have to cross the river, but they have a way of crossing the river. You'll hear how that is. Keeping all the old men, women, children, and household paraphernalia on the bullock carts, and keeping all the cows in front, the cowherd men picked up their bows and arrows with great care and sounded bugles made of horn. Bugles made of horn means Shada and, people with all their stuff on the bullock carts. Yashoda and Rohini holding their I'll just pretend it's not there. Holding their sons sat on one cart, for the two sons could not bear separation from each other. So notice they're right behind the two boys because they can't be separated. Thus, hearing about the pastimes of Krishna and Balaram with great pleasure, Mother Yashoda and Rohini Devi, so as to not be separated from Krishna and Balaram for even a moment, got up with them on one bullock cart. In this situation, they all looked very beautiful. Looks like Krishna eats a lot, huh? And this is a recycled painting from before. When Krishna had a problem, in the Putana Lila or different situations, they gave him bath by this system. One lady poured water on him. Mother Yashoda held him over a basin with her feet. And held his arm with one of her hands and rubbed his head with the other hand. That was the bathing system. They used to pass their time either by taking care of Krishna and Balaram or by chanting about their pastimes. Thus, Srila Prabhupada writes, Mother Yashoda and Rohini looked very beautiful. Jiva Goswami writes, either they were eager to hear the talk of Nanda or they were eager to hear the two boys talk. And here's a painting depicting a semicircle. When they got on the other side, they entered Vrindavan, where it is always pleasing to live in all seasons. They made a temporary place to inhabit by placing their bullock carts around them in the shape of a half moon. So that's a half moon shape. Notice the cows are at the center. The bullock carts are all facing the center. So, protection. Jiva Goswami continues, they entered Vrindavan with happiness, just as the ocean gave a path to Ram. There's Ram with his bow and arrows and giving a path across the ocean to get to Lanka. They crossed the Yamuna by tying the huge carts together, which floated like boats. Stuff probably got wet too, huh? They crossed at the junction of Mathura and Vrindavan, south of the Kaliya Hrada, and from where they would live, since at that place there were no people because of the huge forest. So those of you that know your geography a little bit, picture in your mind or the map that's in your mind right now. There's Mathura, and then in one direction, and down below is Kaliya Lake along the river Jamuna, because both are along the river Jamuna. So somewhere in between that juncture, south of the Kaliya, and near Mathura. But at that time, it was all forest. So no problem. They had their system. They formed semicircle, or the half moon semicircle, which was commonly done so that the goods could be fixed in the back side safely, and there was wide entrance for the cows to exit comfortably. Now, in this particular illustration, the bullocks are in the front, the cows just kind of vaporized or something. The other illustration, they were right there in the center. And then the elders. From Adi Varaha Purana, Vrindavan lies north of Govardhan and south of Kaliya Hrada. Dying there, one is not born again. So when you're ready to retire, you know where to go, right? Shukadev continues, Oh, King Parikshit, when Rama, that's Balaram, and Krishna saw Vrindavan, Govardhan, and the banks of the river Yamuna, they both enjoyed great pleasure. In this way, Krishna and Balaram, acting like small boys and talking in half-broken language, gave transcendental pleasure to all the inhabitants of Vraja. Now, already Balaram is carrying this plowshare that's bigger than him. Haladar. In due course of time, they became old enough to take care of the calves. Now, I meant to send you, and I'll do it later. I meant to send you a chart of Krishna's 125 years, starting from his birth, and then Putana, and so forth, and so on, and so on, and so on, with approximate ages of when Krishna was, when he was at this place doing this thing. This was his age when he was at that place doing that thing. That was his age. So it's Hari Parshad work product. It's got his name across the top. And by his research and so forth, it gives you a nice picture. I went over it and I saw some question mark. Like, for example, from my memory, it was when Krishna was 3 days old, the Putana Lila happened. And what Prabhupada said many times was 3 months old. In any case, it gives a picture of his age and events. So the age, when he started herding the calves, Jiva Goswami and other commentators are very particular about how old Krishna was when he did this and that and the other thing. But he was 3 years, 4 months. And there's something like, he said he was very attached to the cows. The cows were very attached to him. He wanted to take care of the cows. And his father said, no, the cows are so big and you're so small. How are you going to take care of the cows? You get crushed by their hooves. And after discussion, and Krishna was insisting and insisting, he conceded, okay, you can take care of the calves. So it was a big event. Krishna went out taking care of the calves on a daily basis. And that's in this chapter 11. Vrindavan, in 3 different forms, was attractive to Krishna. Vrindavan was most beautiful. It was more pleasing than Vaikuntha. It was more pleasing than Madhuvan or Mahavan. The sequence of events in Mahavan, according to the ages, is as follows. So here's the sequence. Jiva Goswamis. Killing Putana, breaking the cart, Shakatasura. Name-giving ceremony happened after breaking the cart. Crawling, walking, killing Trinavarta. First showing of the universal form. First showing of the universal form was as a little baby, Krishna yawned. And she looked inside Krishna's mouth. And when she looked inside Krishna's mouth when he was yawning, she saw the universal form. Very astonished. Dancing for the gopis, which we heard yesterday. Buying fruit from the Aborigine lady, we heard yesterday. Pulling the calves' tails, we saw that image yesterday. Eating dirt, that comes later. The second showing of the universal form, when she wanted to see had he eaten dirt. We didn't get there yet. Stealing yogurt. Being bound to the mortar. Yashoda, calling the boys for lunch. And entering Vrindavan. So that's the sequence up to this particular point. It's not the ages, but it's the sequence. So here's Krishna and Balaram in nice pink temples behind them and calves. Now the pastimes in Vrindavan begin. They pleased the people of Vraja by their childhood actions and by charming speech as previously. In the same Kumara period, they began herding the calves. The two ended their Kumara period at the end of 4 years. Now normally Kumara, like the prayers of Prahlad, Kumara Acharet Pragyo Dharman Bhagavataniha. Kumara traditionally runs from 5 to 10. But Krishna is precocious. He started a little earlier. He started at 3 years and a few months. And it ended when he was 4 years. Though normally it ends after 5 years. So this is Jiva Goswami giving a description that's a little different than Prahlad Maharaj description. In any case, Krishna is with the calves. And when he's with the calves are very happy. Krishna is very happy. All the cowherd boys are very happy. So there's the childhood pastimes with Krishna and the cowherd boys begins to become more prominent. Not far away from the residential quarters, both Krishna and Balaram, equipped with all kinds of playthings, played with other cowherd boys and began to tend the small calves. So the description is that while they were playing, the calves just followed them. They weren't herding the calves. The calves were just tagging along because the calves were attached to being with Krishna. And Krishna would go here, they'd go here. Krishna would go there, they'd go there. They didn't have to herd the cows. They just tagged along. And the cowherd boys did cowherd boy things. And the calves followed them. Sometimes Krishna and Balaram would play on their flutes. Sometimes they would throw ropes and stones devised for getting fruits from the trees. And sometimes they would throw only stones. Sometimes, their ankle bells tinkling, they would play football with fruits like bale and amalaki. Sometimes they would cover themselves with blankets and imitate cows and bulls and fight with one another, roaring loudly. And sometimes they would imitate voices of the animals. So you see, this is a nice painting. One of the cowherd boys looks like it's Krishna, and Balaram is enjoying Krishna's strutting like a peacock. You know, when the peacocks ran their tails. So he's doing the peacock dance, fanning his tail. And in the background, there's some wild animals running. So one of the boys would imitate the wild animal running. And they're just playing. And the cows are very happy to be with them, that's all. In this way, they enjoyed sporting exactly like toward ordinary human children. Sometimes, using slings, this is commentary, using slings, they would throw amalaki and bale fruits at a far distance. And now comes the demon Vatsasura. So they're in this joyful mood. One demon sent by Kamsa decided the way to kill Krishna was to disguise himself in a shape-changing mystical capacity, appear to be one of the calves. And he kind of moved his way into amongst the calves as if he would be another one of the calves, and unsuspecting Krishna, he would pounce on Krishna. One day, while Rama and Krishna, along with their playmates, were tending the calves on the bank of the river Yamuna, another demon arrived there, desiring to kill them. So there's the demon. It's a calf. But that, not of them. The others were not like that. The others were very friendly. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead saw that the demon had assumed the form of a calf and entered among the groups of other calves, he pointed out to Balaram, "Here is another demon." Krishna didn't waste any time. He slowly approached the demon as if he did not understand the demon's intentions. He grabbed the demon by his hind legs and tail, twirled him around again and again and again, very strongly, until the demon was dead. And then he threw him in the top of a tree, which fell down so they could get the kapita fruits. They were using slings, now he's using a calf, or a demon in the shape of a calf. So there's the calf, and there's the kapita tree falling over, and the boys running over to gather the kapita fruits. How'd you like to be a cowherd boy? Smashing into the top of the kapita tree. He grabbed, this is Jiva Goswami's commentary, he grabbed the demon by his tail along with his hind legs and twirled the demon around. He threw him on top of the kapita tree, since the fruits would fall and they could be used for throwing in games. Playful, 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 playful. Look at, he has fangs. Look at that guy. Upon seeing the dead body of the demon, all the cowherd boys exclaimed, "Well done, Krishna! Very good, very good. Thank you." In the upper planetary system, all the demigods were very pleased, and therefore they showered flowers. See the flowers falling? They showered flowers on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the killing of the demon, Krishna and Balaram, it's time for breakfast. So they sat around having their breakfast, prasadam, underneath a tree. And the calves wandered here and there while they were having prasadam. So that's the end of the Vatsasura story. And then it's breakfast time. And then a little bit about the previous life. So in his previous life, Vatsasura was a great demon who was known by the name Pranima. And he was the son of Mura. After conquering the demigods, he entered Vashishta Muni's ashram and saw his cow. We heard about this cow, this Nandini, the the wish-fulfilling cow, fulfill all desires. Desiring that cow, the demon transformed himself into a brahmana and begged for the beautiful cow, begged charity from Vashishta. Vashishta said no. He stood silent. The cow spoke. Moo. You are a demon, Mura's son, and you have assumed the form of a brahmana to steal the sage's cow. Therefore, O wicked-hearted one, now you become a calf. The great demon that was Mura's son at once became a calf. That wasn't even Vashishta, it was his cow. He, the now calf, circumvented Vashishta and the cow, bowed down and saying, "Please save me." The cow said, "Oh, great demon, at the end of Dwapara Yuga, when you go among many calves, you will attain liberation." So now comes the section. We're going to end pretty soon, so get ready for an abrupt ending like yesterday. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, of his 200 books, of his 100 books, 2 of his 100 books have details of Krishna's killing demons in Vrindavan and how it signifies, or the pastime itself helps, hearing the pastime also helps a neophyte devotee, a sadhaka, a practicing devotee, to overcome obstacles on their path of bhakti. So Vatsasura represents a childish mentality, mischievous, and too easily influenced by bad association. There you see Krishna tossing Vatsasura up in the air and landing in the top of the trees. This is bad association, gives rise to a type of greediness for sense gratification, through which one becomes absorbed in materialism. So Krishna protects a newer devotee from such obstacle by killing Vatsasura. Vatsasura represents evils that are peculiar to boyhood. The neophyte is extremely susceptible to such evils. They can only be eliminated by the mercy of Krishna. Now we're going to hear some very interesting and detailed descriptions by Bhaktisiddhanta, not just this quick description that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his father, gives. If one engages in Krishna's service, these childhood proclivities, will be completely eradicated at an early stage. So in his English publication called The Harmonist, my phone. Didn't press the right button. Press the right button. Okay, sorry about that. The Harmonist was one of his. He Bhaktisiddhanta, had at least two, one in, maybe three, one in Bengali and one in English. The Harmonist was the English one. And so he had articles in his own language preaching or teaching on different points. So one of these points is the merrymaking nature of childhood is not bad. It should not be discouraged. So here's what he writes in The Harmonist. There's an English proverb that sowing of wild oats is inevitable at a young age. The term Puritanism was originally coined, this is a European, British expression, to express the protest of boys and young men against any undue curtailment of the scope of enjoyment that should be regarded as permissible to them. So some people were too harsh, so they were kind of labeled as Puritans. Boys and young men claim the right to be merry and frolicsome. There's nothing objectionable, and much that is of positive value in the display of juvenile qualities. Of course, you have to just with some boundaries. If the attempt be made to stifle this innocent play of the boyish nature under the impression that it is an exhibition of sensuousness, and for that reason is as harmful as similar conduct on the part of grown-up persons, the result is not assurance, but discouragement of juvenile innocence. That's one article. Here's another article. The only way to stop them is become attracted to Krishna. There are indeed black sheep. The black sheep amongst all the other sheep. So it's like an oddball. So the black sheep, one bad child can corrupt many other children. There are indeed black sheep, and these should not be allowed to taint the whole flock. And for this purpose, caretakers with full sense of their delicate responsibility are required to keep watch over them for ensuring the innocence of boyhood and youth without killing their joys. But with every precaution, it has been found that impossible to attain this double purpose. The scriptures say that it is not in the power of man to ensure the immunity of boys and girls from the blight of sensuousness except by means of the service of Krishna. It's like child psychology or something. And a third point, that is the material ideal of restricting children from enjoyments in youth, which they will be allowed in adulthood, is corrupt. No commentary, just to point. Then there's commentary on this one. Spurious brahmacharya ideal is the same. Material morality is of no help. So here's what he writes. Spurious brahmacharya ideal, as misconceived by worldly supporters, embodies this puritanic outlook. The scriptures indeed enjoin that everyone should serve Godhead from the womb. This is the real meaning of brahmacharya. The ascetic practices that have come to attach themselves to the conception were interpolated into the scriptures in order to ensure worldly values by this form of empiric method. Now, his language is, this is his English language, and people don't talk in this kind of language. So, come again, what are you saying here? The ascetic practices, asceticism, we know what that means, that have come to attach themselves to the conception means the conception of a child, were interpolated into the scriptures in order to ensure worldly values by this form of empiric method. The scheme requires that the laws of the growth of the physical and mental bodies should be observed and followed. So they're in other words, there's boundaries, but children, boys will be boys, girls will be girls, playfulness will be playfulness, and that's just fine. Nature is regarded as the kind mother who favors only those of her children who cultivate the filial habit of prying into her secrets. Nature is supposed to be unable to avoid divulging her secrets to her inquisitive children, although she is well aware that her children will exploit this knowledge for troubling her by harnessing her in their service. In other words, it is also assumed to be the duty of the kind mother to consent to put herself in chains in order to minister to the sensuous appetites of her worthier children. Nature is assumed to be able to do good to her children only by submitting to be the victim of their lust. In other words, children do things with mothers that when you see what they're doing with their mothers, it's like, wait a minute. And mothers are just smiling and going along with, the fun of being with their little, some mothers do like this. And, there's an affectionate, loving exchange between the child and the mother. There's boundaries, but the mother submits themselves to that kind of child play, and it's just fine for the child and just fine for the mother. And they can't. It's not that they should continue doing the same thing as they become adults, but in the childhood phase, it's a motherly function. This has some asterisks, so this is therefore. Morality is a valued commodity only on the plane of delusion. But it has no locus standi, or standi, on the plane where the conditions of existence are perfect. Now, what does that mean? Morality. So the do's and the don'ts, the right and wrong, this is to be done, that is not to be done, dharma and adharma, and all those do's and do nots. So accepting things and rejecting things on the basis of morality. In a worldly sense, there has its place in the plane of delusion, but there's no such boundaries, right and wrong, to be done, not to be done, on the transcendental plane. So when Krishna does what Krishna does, or the cowherd boys do what the cowherd boys do, or the gopis do what the gopis do, what Narada does, when when Mother Yashoda does what she does, they're guided by the heart, not by rules. They're guided by love and in a spontaneous way. The same rules don't apply to them. Final point, and then we're done. We should not sentimentally think the playful child does not need training. Parenting is not a piece of cake. It's, to be a good parent, you have to be very gifted. And not everybody's gifted. There are lots of parents, but not as many as that are gifted. So there's the permissiveness, but then the training while being permissive, or Mother Nature revealing the secrets to the inquisitive child, or the mother engaging with her child in a way that for the outsider it's not so appropriate, but because of that loving nature of the child and the mother, the mother and the child, it's quite okay. It's quite okay. It's quite okay. And to continue that while all that's going on, in that context, in that frame, somehow give some training as to values, meaning do this and don't do that. But on the basis of love, not just the basis of obedience. That's the higher kind of parenting. Good luck, parents. So that ends the Vatsasura description. And now we're ending part 2. And tomorrow we're going to hear about Bakasura, the duck demon. Baka. Quack, quack. Or crane is also Baka. There's a charm we discussed yesterday. There's a charm and a sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. And it seems almost like storybook associates, the ragatmika bhaktas, and stimulating their love in different ways. And feeling inspired to see how lovingly Krishna engages with people, whatever the stage of his, as if he's developing like a child develops, but he's the supreme person immediately in the prison house of Kamsa. He doesn't become Krishna, he's the personality of Godhead, but in each and every stage. But different exchanges with his devotees. With loving attraction, enhancing their particular rasa with secondary rasas, and withdrawing that and exhibiting something else, and killing demons. It's like very amazing, very charming. So we had a lot of discussion yesterday. Let's see what happens this evening. I see Subal's hand up first.
This is it's very beautiful, the whole presentation. In this last part of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's comments on children behavior and training and education to be quite amazing in terms of being able to use that as instruction, especially I think for the Sunday school.
Yeah.
And understanding from not only the perspective of temple leadership, but also from a community, how important this program of Sunday school is for the community, because in one sense, is the time of the week that could be dedicated to train the children properly in Krishna consciousness.
Well, training the parents to train their children is much more than once a week.
Yes, yes,
That's where the main work happens. And then, the socializing with other children of the same age, because kids go to school generally, and when kids go to school, they're mixing with non-devotee kids, and habits and speech and things are kids are like sponges. They pick up stuff.
Mm.
So it has its. I'm just commenting on your comment that yes, but the values of parents and how the parenting is done, and understanding of how to not stifle, at the same time to train, how to encourage and enliven and reciprocate in loving ways. So Sunday school, yes. I mean, amplify that. When we have our gatherings, like that, there's a plan underway for Gita Nagari, and then someone's going to be in charge of the children, someone's going to be in charge of the teenagers. While we're doing adult stuff, they're not just down in the basement screaming. There's some activity for the children with persons that are trained and gifted at engaging young people. So all of that.
right.
I'm not de-emphasizing, just putting the bigger picture along with the
of
Sunday
course.
school picture. There's all the other parts, because the future is the children.
Yeah.
We may be adults now, and we're going to be gone at some point, and then the children are going to be the adults, being whatever's going to be happening. So the impressions passed on, that's what the future is going to be.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful. I was curious. You had mentioned Mother Yashoda seeing Krishna's, seeing the universal form in Krishna's mouth at the beginning of the presentation,
Yes.
and I was wondering if Mother Yashoda saw that vision and then she forgot it, then was the purpose of that vision for us? Because she forgot it, so it was, what purpose did it serve for her?
The purpose was astonishment. One of the secondary rasas, the primary rasa is parental affection, and the secondary rasa is on top of, or layered on top of, the parental affection. The purpose is rasa. Krishna was stimulating her loving attraction in a particular way. And then when he withdrew the remembrance, that was so she could get on with just being Mother Yashoda without thinking, oh, wait a minute, inside this child is the universe. That was withdrawn. Yes, there's a hand up here.
Haribol Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So yesterday it was mentioned that the childhood pastimes are the best. Like, I think it was said that they're the most sparkling diamond of the diamonds. But in a lot of other places, we hear that Madhurya Rasa is like the
But that's
topmost.
Madhurya. So
Yeah.
Madhurya doesn't mean necessarily conjugal. Madhurya means sweet. That's the meaning. The root meaning of madhu is honey.
But wouldn't the childhood pastimes be in Vatsalya Rasa?
That's the parent toward the child, but there are children with Krishna. That's not Vatsalya Rasa. That's Sakya Rasa or Dasya Rasa. There's other rasas. But in all cases, in Vrindavan, there's sweetness, whatever the position.
Okay, and another one. Yesterday it was also said that the demons were unfavorable to Krishna, but they still went to Goloka Vrindavan.
Yeah.
So does that mean that they were part of a rasa, like they were in a secondary rasa of some sort?
No, doesn't mean that. It means Krishna's kind. Do it this way. In different incarnations of the Supreme Lord, demons died. Sometimes Krishna killed them, sometimes other things happened, but they died. However, uniquely, when those who died in Krishna's presence, they achieved liberation. And
But would liberation be Brahma Jyoti or would it
no,
be
well, it depends. But in most cases, no. They attained the spiritual world. But in some cases, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Mm-hmm. You want an example? Sure. When Jai and Vijay were gatekeepers in Vaikuntha, they were cursed by the Kumaras to take birth 3 times on earth as demons. Correct? And in the first 2 cases, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravana and Kumbhakarna, Shishupala and Dantavakra. So when the first 2 were killed, what happened to their souls? Did they achieve liberation? No. And Shishupala and Dantavakra achieved liberation, where did they go? So there's a detailed, like very involved, detailed discussion. It appeared that Shishupal merged with the body of Krishna. So that was a temporary situation because later he was relieved from that situation and returned to Vaikuntha, because that was where he came from. So it was like a hold pattern or something, parking lot, and then went to his original position because it was a situation of service, but it didn't happen with the first 2. So there's something special about Krishna and in Krishna's presence being killed by Krishna. So it's not just Sayuja or merging.
Okay, perfect.
Okay?
Yep.
Yes, over here. You got 2 microphones, not bad.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Is it okay if I ask you 2 questions?
Yes.
Okay. So,
But I think it'd be good if you turn the microphone on. No, on. There, you're on.
okay.
You're on. Okay.
So I completely understand if you're not able, if you're not allowed or
No preamble
able to.
needed. Just ask your
Okay.
question.
So this is a question that I've had for some time, but I never asked it because I'm always like, I'll think about it some other time. So
Now's the time.
now is the time. So you read in a couple of places that Krishna is described as the absolute truth. Bhagavad Gita says Krishna is the absolute truth. And I've always struggled to understand what that means.
Oh, it's easy.
Because,
You like a definition, an explanation of what is absolute truth?
yeah, and what does it mean that Krishna is the
Okay,
absolute
okay.
truth?
It's easy. 1, 2, 3. There's a conventional or Western conception of truth as opposed to a lie. It's not that kind of truth as opposed to a lie, a fiction. There's truth and there's a lie. It's not that kind of truth. Rather, the Vedic conception of truth is a tattva, or a reality that something else is resting upon. Like you're sitting on the floor. You're sitting on the rug is on the floor, and the floor is on the foundation, and the foundation is on the earth, and so the thing's resting upon other things. So what's the absolute truth? What is everything resting upon? Krishna. He's the source. Aham sarvasya prabhavo. You know the verse. Bhagavad Gita. Look it up. That's a nice verse to learn. But aham, that's Krishna, first person singular. Sarvasya means all, matter and spirit, you name it. I am prabhava, prabhava, the source of origin, bhava, prabhava. I am the origin of everything. Then he says it in reverse, everything comes from me. I am the source of everything, everything comes from me. Knowing this, one becomes my devotee. So that's the absolute truth. Aham sarvasya prabhava matak sarvam pravartate iti matva, thus knowing, iti matva bhajante mam. You do some bhajan, you do some worship of Krishna. So that's the sense of what absolute truth is. There's another verse often quoted, matak parataram, it's the absolute truth. Matak parataram na anya. There isn't a truth superior to me. That's the absolute truth. And this is again, what is everything resting upon? Or another way of saying the same thing is he's the sarva karana karanam. You know that one? Brahma Samhita. There's karanas, but then what's that karana that has the source of all other karanas? Then there's no cause of that original karana. That's the absolute truth. That's the meaning. Second question.
Can I actually ask a follow-up to that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So, what do people mean? What does truthfulness basically mean then?
That's conventional.
Okay.
Truth as
Okay.
opposed to lie.
Okay.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me, the absolute truth.
Okay.
Don't tell lies. That's morality. I mean, it's similar to what Bhaktisiddhanta said. That's morality. Tell the truth, don't tell a lie.
Okay.
Next.
So my second question is kind of very not that important, but I've observed that in different places, Krishna has different eye colors. Like
That's
even like in
artist. Come on.
okay.
Don't.
What is the real color of his?
Oh, any color you like. Sometimes when he is crying, his eyes are red.
I wanted to ask you because I never found like a description of his eye color.
Yeah, I
but
never
you
have
must have
either.
read a lot.
I haven't either. Yeah, artists do all kinds of things because they have an artist license. Poets have a poet license. Artists have an artist license. They paint whatever they want. They try, some are more careful to paint what it says in scripture, but when it comes to eye color, I don't know of any scripture that says his eye color. Does anybody here in the room know the answer to this question? But that's circumstantial, not always. That was when he was facing him, fighting and protecting Arjuna and the battlefield. That's red. That's the red eyes. Where did you hear? Could you, if you look for the reference, send it to me, and I'll check the reference, and then if it's checkable, then we'll circulate it. You have a follow-up.
I don't have a follow-up, but this is just something that I wanted to share. So when you see the eye color of Krishna, like the deity Krishna at the temple, it sometimes looks blue, sometimes looks brown. Like his eye colors appear to change.
Okay. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Here's a nice Mayapur story. okay, that just put on your Mayapur cap and think of the deity of Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur. Ugra Nrsinga. Ugra means ready to pounce on Hiranyakashipu. So the pujari thought these big red eyes aren't so nice. So he decided to remove the big red eyes and put some other color eyes. I forget what the blue or something. Maybe it was brown, I don't know. And then the same brahmachari pujari kept hearing, a few days in a row, hearing this resonating voice, return my eyes. And he heard it several times, so he went to Jananivas, and in Jananivas, the head pujari, brahmachari, what's this mean? And then he asked him, did you change the eyes? He said, yes. He said that Lord Nrsingadev wants the red eyes back. Immediately, make that arrangement. So that was it. He has red eyes. Red eyes. That's Lord Nrsingadev. Red eyes. Something else.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So during the class you mentioned that hearing the childhood pastimes of Krishna help in like new devotees or struggling devotees get over the obstacles in the path of devotion.
That's
Something
what-
I'm
It's Bhaktivinoda
paraphrasing.
Thakur's teaching, yes.
Can you please explain the science behind it? How does that work?
Power, Shakti. There's a pastime, and then there's a narration of the pastime. And the narration of the pastime has the same Shakti as the pastime. So hearing or narrating or Krishna performing the pastime has the same Shakti. And so with the acumen or the spiritual intelligence of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's able to discern this demon being killed in this way by Krishna. Krishna's helping the sadhaka overcome anarthas within their heart or obstacles on the path of bhakti. It's his understanding, and it's not my realization, but it's his realization that Krishna is helping. So that how does it work? There's a potency, a Shakti within the pastime, and Krishna is helping. He's relieving the earth from demons. He's fulfilling his promise in coming, and he's helping sadhakas deal with obstacles, especially in the earlier stages of bhakti, sadhana bhakti. There's a Shakti within that has that effect. Just hearing the pastime, or narrating the pastime, remembering the pastime, glorifying the pastime, or Krishna is performing the pastime. Okay? Yes. Yeah, two. Not bad. Speak clearly. Go ahead. You're good.
Maharaj, in this pastime, there was a point where this demon is representing childish behavior, mischievousness, and what was the third point, Maharaj? In this particular pastime, this demon is representing three things.
Okay.
It was childish behavior, mischievousness, and what was the third point, Maharaj? Bad
I
quality?
have to go. Easily influenced by bad association.
Okay. No, I was kind of confused between what he is representing and what Shaktasur was representing. So I just wanted to make
There
sure.
can be some overlap too. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Sure. Thank you, Maharaj.
How about in our balcony up there? Anybody upstairs? No, they're I'm just appreciating their presence. There's nobody upstairs waving their arms, so we're okay. You have something. All right.
So, thank you very much for the wonderful session, Maharaj. First thing, the question is about the liberation. In fact, there are discussions on this topic. I would like to get more clarity on that subject. What liberation means from a bhakta standpoint or a sadhaka in this case. The reason is it being, be with the Lord, right? Attaining one type of, out of the four, if there is Sahaja or Salokya or Samipya or whatever, is that one way? Or is it understanding the constitutional position of individual soul is to serve the eternal Lord Krishna and do what they do? Which one is it? Because I ask this question precisely, even if you attain the normal course of liberation, because of misuse of free will, again you may come back to this cycle, life and death. So is it a right thing for a bhakta to ask for liberation that way, or think, okay, I am individual soul, I am the eternal servitor of Krishna, and do what I do in the same way? Which one is the right way to do?
Your question kind of is like 4th of July fireworks. Now, it's not just either or. There can be either or. There are different categories of or types of liberation, and they're all liberation. Now, the main question that was repeating itself was, what should we as devotees aspire for? That's the main question. And the main answer to that main question is, we should aspire for eternal service, unconditional and unmotivated. Nothing can start it, nothing can stop it, from the material aspect, that is loving service, where there's nothing material that can stop it, nothing material that can start it. It's just constitutionally being situated in loving service to Krishna. When one achieves that, one can be anywhere. In other words, liberation doesn't mean going from point A to point B. Liberation means a consciousness change from material to spiritual. And the consciousness change from material to spiritual is the medium, the doorway is bhakti, and then the end is mature bhakti, where there's nothing but service. So that's the aspiration, the recommended aspiration for a devotee. Now, supposing somebody's a new devotee, there are some new devotees. Like Prabhupada, along with Bhaktisiddhanta publishing The Harmonist and other texts in different languages in India, Prabhupada, following his spiritual master in English, produced Back to Godhead magazine. Now, Back to Godhead sounds like we're here, we have to go someplace besides here. Back to Godhead. And that's one idea. That's the not so mature. The more mature idea is Back to Godhead means the change of consciousness. So you can go back to Godhead in Naperville. Wherever you are, by change of consciousness. And that place where you are, because of that change of consciousness, becomes the holy dham. Your place of residence becomes the holy dham because of your Krishna consciousness. And that place becomes worshipable and sacred and so forth. Okay. I think we should end. You have an enthusiastic arm-waving question over there.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Big smile too. You always have a big smile.
In the line of the same question, the clarification I'm seeking is, in Japa, in Festival of Holy Name, we talk about the 4 gates, right?
You
It's-
talk about what?
The 4 gates, the alignment,
Okay.
and then the last gate is Krishna opens the gate.
Ah,
So when the demons are being killed, it sounds like Krishna opens the gate on his side. Is it that the demons also are willing to become surrendered to Krishna on the other side?
nice try. They do a 180, huh?
The confusion I have is because end of the day it's free will. Is it that the demons develop a free will to develop love for Krishna?
No, their free will isn't developed; it's intrinsic. But the covering, so that's one thing. Back to your liberation, where the covering is removed, as one kind of liberation. But then, when the covering is removed, what's left? Free will that says, "I want to be with Krishna." So now, implied in your question is, are they desiring to be with Krishna, or they're just going, they're screaming and kicking and fussing, and they're being taken back to Krishna anyways? Yes. Something like that. That's a nice question. What's the free will of those who achieve liberation? All the soldiers on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, they were on the side of Duryodhana, and although he's bad guy, super bad guy, bad, triple bad, and they're on his side against the Pandavas, who are dear to Krishna. And then they do 180. We want to be with Krishna. But they got liberation. So what was the free will? That's a nice question. Of those who achieve liberation. Or, start with Putana and then etc. So the willingness to be in Krishna's association in the spiritual world, the willingness to be there, it has to be operative. Otherwise, where do you go? There's no jail in Vaikuntha. There's no rebels against the will of Krishna. It's a nice question. I'll see if some scholarly devotees have some shastra to support besides common sense that says whatever shastra says about those that achieve liberation, starting from inimical, and then they're killed by Krishna one way or another, by Krishna's devotees killed. Then what happens to that free will when the covering is removed? What happens to the free will? Nice question. Okay, we're going to end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
For a very wonderful New Year's Eve program. Evil.